I'm Nancy Schellhorn. I'm from CSIRO. I'm from Brisbane, Australia. I lead the Spatial Ecology team. We work on landscape scale pest management. We work across systems, grain, cotton, vegetables. We do a range of approaches, experimentation and modeling, but really our goal is to think about ways in which we can manage agricultural landscapes for better pest suppression and protection of the natural assets of the farm, such as biodiversity and the conservation of beneficial insects that help provide pest control services. So our work really speaks to some of the big agricultural challenges. Of course, there's increasing food demand, and with that comes a range of challenges. We need to be able to reduce our loss to food and fiber, and we need to minimize our degradation of our agricultural lands. And we also need to minimize our inputs, including insecticides. So that's the focus of most of the work we do. And as part of that, we take the approach of we have to get growers and farmers to think beyond the crop. A lot of these pests that we deal with are highly mobile. They're global pests, and so they're really good at what they do. And one of the reasons is because we often control them at the scale of the field, but they use multiple habitats in these landscapes. And so their populations can build up in one habitat where they're not controlled, and then they move over into to a crop and often cause devastation. I think our next kind of key message is there's lots of beneficial insects that provide pest control services. And these services have been estimated, this natural pest control service has been estimated at about 400 billion annually globally. So if we think about a lot of our crops, oftentimes there's hundreds of species of arthropods in these crops, but only about a half a dozen ever cause pest problems. And that's because most of the time they're kept in check by these beneficial insects. So one thing we're really interested in is when the crop's not in the ground, where can you find these beneficial insects? And a lot of our work shows that, particularly in Australia, these native remnant habitats that have natural, these are what's left after agriculture has cleared the land. The native vegetation is hosting these beneficial insects, particularly when there's no crops in the ground, and then they recolonize the field. This is also important for conservation and biodiversity because you can find, native fauna in these habitats as well. There's also issues important for carbon because they're woody perennials. So there's multiple benefits that can be derived from maintaining the natural farm asset. I guess our third message, beyond thinking beyond the crop and protecting these natural farm assets, is we really want to capture this service of pest control. And so by understanding the agricultural mosaic and by integrating that with farming practices, we think that's a really good way to keep pest populations lower for longer. So that's the way in which we're contributing to these big goals and challenges for agriculture. And that's what my talk's about that I've delivered at ICRISAT. So I hope you'll watch.